All right, YouTube, once again, time to talk about Shillary, specifically the Clinton Foundation. A lot of people right now are assuming, and I think they're right, that there is an ongoing FBI investigation into the Clinton Foundation based off donations they've received, what they've spent, and to who. The Clintons are notorious for getting as much money as they can, sort of funneling it through offshore slush funds or through dubious dealings of one sort or another. They're basically a criminal family. That being said, I wouldn't hold your breath that there will be actual charges brought against the Clintons if anything ends up happening. I assure you, they have covered their tracks well enough that the trail will go cold with some higher up at the Clinton Foundation. Somebody other than, of course, Madam Hillary or Bill, and they will end up taking the fall for it, and I'm sure whoever's in that position knows full well that they're going to be the fall guy. They'll get a kickback of some millions once they get out, and they'll make sure that they bribe the prosecutor or whatever so they don't go in for too long, and they'll call it even Stevens. Let them out 90% early for good behavior, essentially. This is sort of the MO of the Clinton family. Now then, to the State Department's own apparently renewed investigation based upon the findings of the FBI investigation. I said before, James Comey is no fan of Hillary, or at least it appears so. He wanted to be able to charge her because he knows that what she did was criminal. But there's not enough evidence to do so because the Clintons are good at covering their tracks. Every time there's a scandal involving Hillary or Bill, the trail goes cold right before the threshold at which you could actually throw them into prison. This, I believe, will happen with the Clinton Foundation. It will happen as well with the State Department's renewed investigation, although there is an outside chance. Unlike with the FBI investigation in the first place into the email server, I will say this, there is a slightly higher chance that Hillary would suffer some sort of repercussion, a misdemeanor charge, a fine, whatever, for the State Department's own new investigation and or for the Clinton Foundation, but I wouldn't hold my breath. If I were a betting man, I would put all of my money on them getting off scot-free. Or at the most, getting a very small slap on the wrist that won't even faze them. The importance of all of these scandals, which have been continuous with the Clintons so long as they've been in politics, and even before on Hillary's part with her time as a lawyer, if you look at the real significance, it's trustworthiness and public perception. Having two new investigations go on will not be helpful for her numbers. Now, being liberal and MSNBC and every Democrat in office will all try to cover her ass and say, oh, these fucking Republicans, Trey Gowdy's just barking up the tree again. They don't know what's going on. It's a phony scandal and so forth. Most people in the country do know better. That's why Clinton's trustworthiness ratings are essentially in the shitter. Now, this obviously hasn't yet declined her popularity quite enough, but I believe that in time it will, and it's because of these snowballing scandals and the presence of the internet age that really her campaign can actually successfully be sunk. Back in the 90s, that wasn't the case. They did something wrong in the 90s. The only real groups that would be reporting it would be tabloids, and that was essentially it. You think MSNBC, CNN really gave a damn? Of course not. They would cover it from the context of the Clintons did nothing wrong and Congress is once again going on a witch hunt against a popular liberal president. But now, of course, you've got the decentralization of information. For instance, this video that I'm making potentially. Thousands or tens of thousands of people can see it, and that can change their minds. They're getting an opinion, I would say a statement of reality, but let's say subjectively speaking, of the case, as opposed to before they would get it from television. Now, the problem is, of course, you've got your local news, which is an affiliate of some larger news station, some larger news organization, and there aren't actually that many of them that you were getting on TV back in the 90s. You weren't watching RT, you weren't watching Al Jazeera, Jazeera, you probably weren't getting the BBC. You were relegated to your local news, and a few of these larger networks that lock, stock, and barrel, they're staffed by authoritarians. Whether or not they lean left or right really makes no difference. Essentially, they will cover for the ass of the person who's just donated to them. There's no accountability in TV news or in major newsprint publications. They should be boycotted completely. I wouldn't tune into them at all. I wouldn't read any paper. I wouldn't pay a red cent to watch Fox or CNN or any of these organizations. I wouldn't pay a red cent to do it. So that really is what could sink the Clintons as far as public perception goes. It's really about how she's perceived. It's not about some objective reality doled out by the FBI and then reported on the mainstream news sites. That's not the way that it works anymore. That's the danger for the Clintons, as opposed to, of course, in the past, the only real danger would be, criminal investigation leads to charges. And that was never going to happen back then. It's not probably going to happen now. There's an outside chance, but again, don't hold your breath. Don't expect it to happen. We can talk all day about how wonderful it would be to see on TV the ultimate political happening of the last century. Democratic nominee charged with treason or something. Bernie Sanders becomes de facto Democratic nominee. Joe Biden expresses interest in wooing Clinton delegates. I mean, it'd be anarchy. It'd be chaos. It'd be great. It'd be really, really entertaining. It'd be for weeks and weeks. Nobody would talk about anything else. But at the same time, it's probably not going to happen. Trey Gowdy and all these others have done a good job of exposing the fact that, yes, indeed, the FBI is essentially covering for her ass because they know that they've been hoodwinked, and I think that that's why. I don't think that it's so much collusion at the FBI. I think it's they realize, if we go after the Clintons, it's not going to work anyway. She'll hire so many high-powered attorneys. She'll drag us through for months and months. She'll become the true nominee anyway. At that point, all of her fans will tell us to fuck ourselves, and it could cause literal chaos within the United States because it'll look like we're headhunting a presidential candidate that at least maybe kind of a third of the population kind of likes. So I don't think it's going to happen. If it does, it would be sooner rather than later. They won't wait until the convention's over. So pay attention for the next few weeks, and if nothing really emerges, if this questioning and this new evidence from the FBI doesn't lead to anything tangible, a declaration from the State Department or the FBI that yes, indeed, charges will be brought, or there's another half-hour-long speech about how dishonest Hillary is, which is what the FBI director's speech the last time boiled down to. Unless something like that happens, you can almost guarantee not going to be charged with anything. If it were anything, it would be the most slap-on-the-wrist charge they could possibly make, and they'd say, we're just going to defer it. She's a presidential candidate. Who fucking cares? Yeah, she endangered all sorts of classified intel. Yeah, other people have gone to prison for 10 years for doing the same thing, but she's Hillary Clinton, so what the fuck are we supposed to do? That's ultimately what's probably going to happen. That's about all. Peace out.